it's a quick adjustment back there.
They're on now.
Okay, so call the meeting to order, and Scott, would you mind doing the prayer and the pledge?
Yep. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this wonderful day. We just praise you for the mighty God you are. Lord, we just seek your wisdom, Lord, and the many decisions that need to be made for our community, Lord. We just thank you for each of those people, part of our community, Lord. Just bless them and guide them. And just bless our time here this morning and this afternoon. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The next item is administering the oath of office to Sherry Alexander and Adam Anderson.
Mayor, you want to do it because you're here?
Sure. Great.
Adam Anderson,
Sherry Alexander.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
do solemnly swear or affirm. We have to say this,
Solemnly
right?
swear or affirm. We're saying it together?
You
Yes.
can say it together.
Okay.
That I will support, obey, and defend
That I
That I
will support, obey, and
the
defend
Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Charter of the City of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma.
and the Charter of the
City of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma.
That I will not knowingly receive,
That I will not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money or other valuable thing
any money or other valuable thing
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty pertaining to my office,
of
of
any
any act or duty pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear or affirm
I further swear or affirm
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as,
as Economic Development Trust
Trust
Authority Seat 6
Seat 7.
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Sign on there.
There you go.
Great. Thank you.
Next item is petitions from the audience. Jay, do we have any?
None I'm aware of.
Okay. Next item is discuss, possibly approve the minutes of the December 8th, 2025 meeting. I believe those were sent to everybody in the packet. Motion to approve those.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Jay, if you would take the vote.
Berger,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sorrell.
Yes.
Okay, our next item is discussion and possible action regarding an expenditure not to exceed $2,000 for the installation of cohesive window and door decorations for participating businesses in the downtown corridor. This is a request from Laney Ogg and other downtown business owners. Laney is here, but I'll go through the scope and then we can ask Laney any questions. So this proposal outlines a seasonal placemaking initiative designed to enhance downtown cohesion, visibility, and foot traffic through the collaborative Valentine-themed window painting project. Approximately 30 downtown business windows will feature artwork painted by a local artist, creating a unified and visually engaging downtown experience. So part of this came from a meeting that the mayor had a week ago,
Last Thursday.
with downtown with several downtown business owners asking what things could happen downtown, what we could do as a community to help downtown and attract additional foot traffic. One of the things was having more cohesion with the look of everything. We do have the streetscape coming, that's still a ways out. There's some construction. I think at this point, we have most of the downtown businesses, buildings with occupants in them. And this is extending not just on Graham, but it's down the downtown quarter, so Van Row, Kauai, Adair Street. So one of the things that came out of that was Lainey said, well, she'd been talking with Emily Dickinson about doing a painting project and making some window decorations and doing this on a recurring basis. One of the ideas that was thrown out was presenting this to the EDTA, letting us fund this first time, have it put in place, show what that cohesion does, show the business owners. I think the idea would be that on a recurring basis, this is something that the business owners would pick up and go forward with. There'll be some, I think, changes along the way. Lainey's talked with Emily about the installation, the visibility, and the cleanup. Emily would do the installation, the visibility. She would work with each of the business owners to make sure that she was not affecting their visibility. There were some business owners that said, well, I've got my windows, there's stuff displayed in the windows, I don't want to hide that. Emily is committed to working with them to figure out the exact location of that item. And then after, for this case, Valentine's Day, she would come back around and she would provide the cleanup, all with part of this same price. The proposal that Lainey has in front of us is $1,500. I did put the up to $2,000. This was for 30 storefronts, approximately 30 storefronts. Once we start down this path, there may be a few others that get added along the way. So that's why we were putting down for the ability to go up to $2,000. So would you guys like to hear from Lainey and see what her thoughts are as a business owner and anybody else in the room that may have some input on this? Mayor, if you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think, those are so loud. I think it was beneficial. We had 31 businesses that showed up to the meeting, specifically asking for a few things as a outcome of that meeting, and this was one of the high points of that. So I think it would look great. I think it'd be a great addition if we are trying to market our downtown, the cohesion between the businesses and things, but I would like to hear from those that recommended it.
You do.
I do, okay. Well, I'm Lainey from Robin's Nest. Hello. I've met most of you, I think. Okay, so like you said, so Candy Mendable at Daydreamer, this was actually, I think she started this idea. I think I just typed it. So if you have extra questions, I'll pull her. But basically, one of my words this year is intentional. So yes, within my four walls of my business, I have to do everything I can to make sure I succeed. But outside of those four walls, I need everybody else to be succeeding too in order to keep people shopping in Pryor. Nobody wants to shop in an ugly town. And while we can't fix everything that's ugly right away, something that we can do is show that we're all on the same team and we're all trying to get there. So if you go to Branson, if you go to Claremore even, you will see this overall cohesion, this feel of, yes, not everybody might not get along, but everybody does come together and need Claremore to support or Owasso to support, or, so you're all supporting each other. So I think along the lines of like you said, Graham Avenue, Van, Row, and Adair Street, Emily and I kind of came up with like a big circle map of, where our local downtown business owners are, and the spots in between them we don't want to skip. Again, it's the idea that we're all in this together, whether we're all doing different things or the same thing. We're all in this together. I think if you drive up to Pryor and you look at all of our windows and they're all kind of have a big overall feel, it does bring a sense of community. And when you're shopping downtown, you need that sense of community to be able to go, okay, I don't have to go to Owasso, I don't have to go to Tulsa, I don't have to go anywhere outside of right here because it's safe, it's walkable. I need to, maybe next time I'll prepare better for this. This is kind of just me spilling to you. But you guys should look into it. The psychology, Zach loves to use the psychology word. That's what my degree's in. I never planned on buying a flower shop, but here I am. The psychology of it is if you can convince them that you're all on the same team and you're all working towards the same goal, yes, there are things that may pop up in between that we all have to go a little bit different routes on, but that end goal is still the same. And I think that this could be, if the EDTA sponsors it the first time and it goes over really well, I think it would be very beneficial to be able to go back to these businesses and go, hey, okay, if you do the math, it's only $50 a business. Look at how many shoppers we had come downtown. Look at all the great remarks that have come from this. I mean, because we did the trees. We were the little elves. Candy and I were little elves over Christmas. And the amount of comments by just literally using a chainsaw and cutting down some of my dad's trees and plopping them in a planter, the comments were overwhelming. And what did it do? It brought that cohesive mindset that, hey, this downtown is all working together to make it pretty. So instead of me and Candy having to cut out paper hearts for 30 business windows, I was like, why don't we try to use somebody local? Emily is a local business owner, so that's going back into our town there. And let's work smarter, not harder. So I just thought it might be a good idea. Any questions?
So Scott, you've been part of downtown for quite a while, and you've talked about the cohesive look and getting shoppers in and looking like there's activity downtown. What's your,
No, I'm all for it. Anything we can do to make it look like we're open for business, make it look like we're all rowing the same direction instead of against each other.
Right.
I think it's a good idea. And Emily is good.
Emily is good.
She is good. I saw her, watched her paint some on the other day, and it's crazy how she was doing it.
Yeah,
It
no.
was nuts.
And she will clean it up. So that's the other thing, because, as a business owner, I'm like, yay, all of these things are happening. What do I have to do to maintain them? Nothing on this. It's literally a low effort, low budget, something that I think could really take our downtown, bringing people, like foot traffic. I think this could enhance that just enough to at least get the ball rolling for us businesses to come together. Because again, intentional. I'm intentionally trying to get my other business owners on board with things. So that's my spiel.
okay?
I move adoption. Let's spend $2,000.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who made the motion.
I did. You want me to use this?
Don't have him start yelling.
Put a
All right,
mic
you
in
ready for
front
the
of
vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Alexander,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sordahl,
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
You want a big part on your
Okay, the next item, presentation of the Pryor Area Aquatic Center Pool Task Force Study and Recommendation. So you have a printed copy, and everybody was emailed a copy of this as well, of the Pryor Area Aquatic Center Pool Task Force Study and Recommendation dated January 2026. Mike Moore with the Rec Center and Jackie with the Rec Center are both here as we go through the report. I think the first thing I'd like to do is recognize those task force members that put a lot of time and effort into this report. Again, we had Mike, Don Berger, Chris Graves, and Keith Shelby, both with the Park Board, Frank Powell, City of Pryor Park Superintendent Karen Cook, and Houston Britton with the Rec Center Board, Rachel Sordahl and Dana Lamb with and Frank Vargas as community representatives, Jackie with the Rec Center, and then Mayor Doyle and Jared Crisp with the city and the Municipal Utility Board, and Angela Smith as our administrative assistant. I'd like to go through on page 2 is the executive summary. I think it does a pretty good job of summarizing the plan. The Pryor Area Aquatic Center project addresses a critical unmet community need in Pryor and Mays County for a modern, comprehensive aquatic recreation and fitness facility. Since 2019, the community has been without a functioning public pool due to severe structural damage, extensive water loss, and noncompliance with current safety and accessibility standards, including the Virginia Baker Act and ADA regulations. The existing facility is beyond repair. Renovation of the old facility is fiscally irresponsible and technically infeasible, with estimated costs between $8.3 million and $9.5 million, and continued operational risks. Moreover, its location within a floodplain and limited footprint make it unsuitable for a contemporary aquatics complex. Our solution is to construct a new state-of-the-art aquatic center strategically located directly behind the Pryor Creek Recreation Center. This location maximizes accessibility and synergizes with existing recreational amenities. This phased development will offer diverse aquatics activities, including water slides, a dive tank, a zero-entry children's play area, lap lanes, and a lazy river and competitive pool. Designed with accessibility in mind, it will cater to all ages, from families with young children to senior citizens and individuals with mobility challenges. This project is more than recreation. It's an investment in the health, equity, and economy of Mays County. The absence of local aquatic facilities forces residents to travel to Tulsa, Muskogee, or Tahlequah, highlighting a significant market opportunity within our 35-mile radius target market of 59,319 school-aged children and their families. As the sole dedicated water park facility in Northeast Oklahoma outside of these distant options, we will leverage our unique market position to capture this underserved demographic, offering unparalleled convenience and accessibility. Guided by the Pool Task Force, an initiative requested by the Pryor City Council and comprising diverse community stakeholders, this project has undergone extensive public engagement, design, cost estimation, and feasibility study. We are currently in the master planning phase, focusing on funding, feasibility, phasing, and operational planning with a target grand opening in June of 2028. Our robust management team will ensure efficient operations, safety, and superior visitor experience. We will implement modern technology for streamlined operations and employ a comprehensive marketing strategy encompassing Facebook, local newspaper, billboard advertising, and school promotions to build strong brand recognition. While seasonal business, initial capital requirements, and operational complexities present challenges, our phased approach, diverse revenue streams, and commitment to rigorous safety protocols and preventative maintenance will mitigate these risks. The Pryor Area Aquatic Center will promote health, wellness, inclusion, and economic growth. It will provide local jobs, attract visitors and potential new residents, retain recreation spending within the community, and support youth development and family engagement. The proposed water park will be strategically situated at 1111 Southeast 9th Street in Pryor, directly behind the rec center. This location was chosen to enhance accessibility and create potential synergy with existing recreational offerings in the area. To ensure efficient implementation and optimal use of resources, the development may be carried out in two distinct phases depending on available funding. The Pryor Area Aquatic Center is not just a pool. It's a legacy investment in community health, youth development, and regional growth. For further insight into decision-making process and why alternate locations were not selected, please refer to the corresponding section. So that group over the last 2 years of the task force, I know it may seem like a long time to do something like this, and Mike will speak more about this, but in that 2-year time frame, the task force was stood up, a plan of action was developed, and that plan of action included researching prior plans for the pool, watching old city council meetings and park board meetings, and looking at all of the various studies that have been done over the previous 10 years. It included a funding study. It included a comprehensive public input period where the task force met with community members. They met with stakeholders. We went to various football games and had in-person public engagement and online public engagement, and then went into a design phase based off of what that public engagement was, and then ultimately came with this proposal. So when you look at what became a 6 to 10 step process, 2 years there was a lot of time and effort that went into this, and Mr. Moore was the chairman of the pool task force, so he has some things to add to that.
Well, thanks, Adam, and thank you all for funding the initial phases of what's brought us to today. The one thing I'd say, there's a lot of information in here, and we did not only the local research with our constituents in the county from a design standpoint, and that was kind of the primary goal of the task force, was to get that up and running, and so we've done that. Along the way, a lot of the information in here and what we're doing is modeled after Muskogee. They've got a water park similar to what we would like to have. Of course, their county, their town is larger, so we have scaled that back, our thinking in putting the numbers together and what that would look like in our county. So, it's taken some time. Our first meeting was in October of '23, and that fall that's when we did all the surveying here in the county and in town. And then after the first of the year in '24, we brought in Swanson House, and they did some initial feasibility on fundraising. And then we took that information and kind of deciphered that over the next few months. And in the beginning of '25, myself and Adam, Chris Graves, and Megan Edwards from Northeast Tech started meeting to develop this plan in specific. And while it's taken a while to do that, we feel comfortable. It felt like we were, dragging a weight, kind of an anchor thing, but at the same time, it gave us a chance to really think about what we're doing and how that would apply to our environment and to try to bring something forward that's feasible. So that's where we're at today. And of course, assuming we can get the blessing and get objections and concerns, questions answered with the EDTA and then the city council, we would begin the fundraising here before too long. We've done a little preliminary on that in terms of putting a steering committee together. We've sought out professional consultation on that to get organized with that strategy and all. And so that would be obviously the next phase for us in terms of making this happen. So with that, I guess we'd open it up and see if there's any questions.
Well, I'm going to
Yeah,
start.
Don.
The operating expenses that we have here, it turns out we're going to be profitable first year, second, and third, bringing a total of about $174,000 in cash, supposedly. Is those numbers derived by the consultant going back and visiting with Muskogee and Sallisaw?
Yeah, they are. That was, again, they're very similar to what we're trying to do in terms of facility, but of course, the population's different.
Right.
And so, yes, we took their numbers and talked to them, had several conversations. Brooke Hall was the director
Right.
over the supervisor of this. And so we just more or less converted that to what that would look like in our population base. So, and then, as Adam mentioned, we kind of drew a circle of 35 miles, thinking that's again, a feasible length of miles to travel to come. We drive to Tulsa from here all the time for different things. 59,000 school-age kids, that's a lot. Well, Broken Arrow was within that 35 miles, so there's 20,000 kids in their school system that, in theory could come here. But that's how we came to those numbers.
Any other thoughts or?
I'm assuming this is just approve the concepts. I mean, and to give an okay or encouragement to move ahead to try to obtain the funding.
Yes, sir.
Because I take it right now, the funding is nothing.
Correct.
That's correct, yes. Yeah.
So when this was turned over to the pool task force, it was turned over from the EDTA with the goal of go and tell us where it should be, what should happen with the existing pool, if anything, and what a new center could look like, and how would we pay for it. And we believe we have completed that task, and now we're back at the EDTA for you guys and ladies to look at it, tell us whether, you believe this has merit, and then our next step will be to have this at the city council and ask the same question and really get everybody's blessing on letting that funding committee go forward with, we don't have any funding for this now, but once we have the approval of the EDTA and the approval of the city council, then we have some real emphasis and ability to go to funding sources, grants. We can get serious with talking with them. We can get serious with talking with bond counsel. We can get serious about having fundraising and talking with large donors about what they believe the merits of this project are. Right now, we have a concept that's been obtained by hard work of a committee, but no real entity that has said, yes, we believe that's a good plan for Pryor, let's move forward.
Do we have an estimated cost of, let's say EDTA says, let's move forward, city council says, let's move forward, Then we start trying to line up financing. We spent, what was it, $40,000-$50,000? Are we talking about someone coming back and asking for $40,000 or $50,000 to pay professional fundraisers
That is not what
pursue?
That is not what we're
I
anticipating.
mean,
at
we
this
don't
point.
anticipate
Correct.
an ask of another 50 grand to see if we can sufficiently shake the bushes to raise $8 or $9 million to proceed with phase one.
We may need a few dollars for some promotional items when we get our committee and we start actually seeing the people, but it won't be that kind of money.
So these
Because that kind of money
So
may be there, but,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
No, right,
whether we
yeah.
want to spend it or not, yeah.
these numbers, the 22 million plus for all three phases, this is concrete numbers, or this is just a starting point?
It's really a starting point.
Okay.
You know, there's going to be some appreciation, you know, of those numbers as time goes on. So this is really our starting point.
Okay, so I notice you've got a 10% contingency
Yeah.
built into that. Jared, I'm going to ask you this, is that enough in this
For
day
now
and
it
age?
is, but the longer you sit on
No,
it, the longer,
no.
the more the fees are gonna go up. I mean, it's, inflation's inflation, that's
Seemed
going down.
a little low.
I mean, but I think they did a lot of work, like Salisol just built a pretty good, water park, so they piggybacked off of them and got some pretty good numbers off of them as to what those prices came in at. So I would say,
How did Salisbury?
they had a bond, I believe,
And they got some money from the school system
so.
and the Cherokee Nation.
But I mean, as far as right now, these numbers are decent, or as accurate as you can get without actually going into a full bang detailed engineering
Bid.
study and taking stuff out for bid.
And we did have them updated just before we put them into this report by PDG, who was the architect on Salisol. So they had some real solid numbers, and they had 2 or 3 other projects around the state to use as a real-world comparison. And I will say, what was it? It was 5 to 7% is what they typically saw increases on pools go up
Yes. Yeah.
from year to year.
And they've got them
And-
high.
Well, and we asked them in this to know that our target date was in '28, to assume that appreciation in these numbers. So there is some appreciation already,
Yeah.
or inflation already assumed in those.
I think it says it in there.
Thank you.
I think it's important to bring to light the reason that the task force was put together. As we got to discussing what we were gonna do for an aquatic center or pool or whatever that looked like, we realized that there would come that point of funding. And with that funding, me specifically, I feel like we owe the people a little trust restoration. And the last time we took out a bond, we didn't manage it properly. It wasn't, it ended up being a lot more than we anticipated. We didn't stick to our guns on the things that we needed and didn't need, and ended up with almost $14 million rather than the proposed $7 million. And so it was important to me to show the public that we were going to do all of our due diligence before we even went for funding, to show them that we learned from the past, we learned from the things that we didn't do right, but it's more dedication to take care of and have a better stewardship of those funds that belong to the people. So if we have to go for bonding, they know that it's not just a thrown together in the last 6 months program. This is something we spent several years on with the right people, doing the right research. We visited, we put together numbers. We went out and did everything that we could do to make sure that we got the most accurate numbers, the most accurate information, the most detail that we could give, so that when it came time for them to make that decision on spending the money on it, they felt confident that we were going to do it the right way this time. And hopefully that's the trust that we can build back by doing this with the task force. And I think they've done a great job of doing every bit of that research that they needed to do.
As for fundraising, as Mike said, we've had consultations with experts in this field. We've looked at local projects or local Northeast Oklahoma that have raised significant funds and capital, and we put this plan in front of them, and they've had positive feedback with it. They've also been supportive of knowing that we're starting out for the first time doing this with Pryor. And they offered some guidance, and they've offered to continue with that guidance. But one of the things that I think really stuck out for me, and I think Mike will say the same thing, is one of their initial asks was for several $1 million on a project, and they were told flat out no. And they continued on, and they got to the end of the project, and that person reached back out and said, we'd like to donate, and ended up being one of the largest donations ever to that entity. So I say that to say what we were told was, don't sell yourself short before you go through the full process. Something that's also been consistent from that entity and other consultants we've talked to in Swanson House is, as you go through these timelines, when you start raising money, where every dollar that you get, you're not running out and having a press release for. You set a goal, you get to that goal, and that's when you have your press release. And they said that's when you really start seeing some benefit to all the work that goes in. So I would think that if we get the blessing of city council to move forward with this and start down the fundraising, it will be several months before as we're going through that process, before there is a big announcement of, hey, here's how much we've raised and here's where this is going. We've got a lot of entities to reach out to. Mike's got a lot of phone calls to make.
Typically, 60% is what you like to have before you go public with it. So, in most capital campaigns.
I think the task force has done exactly what was asked of it. And I think that's what people need to understand right now, was to look at the feasibility and what was needed. And so I appreciate the effort and the time put into this and the presentation, because I do think it's something we'd be extremely useful for our community and something we need. And so, but you just can't go to the public and say, gee, we're gonna build an aquatic center, it's gonna cost us $22 million, well, what does it look like? So again, it's appreciated what you've done, what you've put together. I appreciate that recommendation. And with that in mind, I would move that we accept the Pryor Aquatic Center Pool Task Force study and recommendations, accept that and recommend that the move to a funding process.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Have a second?
It just says presentation. Do we have to do anything?
No, it's got the recommendation at the end.
Okay, gotcha.
So, Jay, if you would.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sordahl,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
Okay, now that the easy things are out of the way.
So I'll just do it real quick. Again, want to thank you all for helping us get this thing off the ground, and then I want to publicly thank the task force as well. They put in a lot of time, particularly in the early going, with the surveys and then kind of mulling it over and getting to a design concept that we have. So, and Adam and Chris and Megan on our ad hoc task force, or committee to put this together. And then, Jackie is our resident aquatics expert, so when we have a hard question, we go to her. She does a great job for us at the rec center, and she'll do a great job on this project as well. So, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Okay, the next item, discussion regarding the 2025 Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival. So you have a report in front of you that details the Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival this year. I'll kind of go through it with everybody. So, I mean, the festival did not achieve the attendance or revenue levels that the '24 event did, but it did demonstrate Pryor's ability to host a high-quality downtown festival, attract professional development, and provide meaningful quality of life benefits to residents and local businesses despite significant weather challenges. Friday night started out looking like it was going to be great, and then the weather came in, and that's where we really relied on emergency management. They did a wonderful job of keeping everybody safe and communicating with us. The total budget established for the festival was $100,000. That included the funds for performance, lodging, stage, sound, lighting, hospitality, porta potties, insurance, shirts, pop and water, tents, and car show awards. Out of that budget, a total of $95,556.74 was spent. I believe all of the expenses are in. We're reconciling that. If anything changes, I'll let you know, but I think that's the full extent of the expenses. Comparing that to 24's total expenses, the festival budget from Fund 68 was $75,000, but if you add in the fees or the funds that the EDTA provided, a total of $88,923.25 was spent for the festival in 24. For income, we are dependent upon sponsorships, food truck and vendor fees, and sales of various items related to the festivals and drinks. The total income for the festival this year was $37,726.83. Out of that, sponsorships totaled $28,000, accounting for 74% of the total festival income. Again, festival attendance was negatively impacted by severe weather on Friday night and then Saturday. However, the impact on the ability to perform, for acts to perform, was minor and did not rise to the level of an insurance claim or require the complete cancellation of the festival. We looked at that. Had we canceled the festival, it still would have required to prove a loss. So if the sponsors were not asking for the funds back, we didn't have a loss there. If we didn't sell a shirt or pop, we didn't have an expense for those items. We did end up getting rid of all the shirts and hoodies and stuff. But anyway, you can see a comparison from 25 to 24. 37,726.83 and 24's was 75,193.91. Part of that was sponsorships, 28,000 versus 42,000. We did have one large sponsorship that did not renew for the 25 session. And then we had a grant that, in looking back with some of the things that we were doing differently this year versus last year, we did not believe that we would qualify for that grant this year. We do think that in future years we may, and we've already started having those conversations about what that grant could look like. So that's what made that up. Vendor fees, we were down quite a bit on vendor fees. Some of that was the week before when, Bridget was heading up our vendor management. We had strong interest in vendors, and then that last week and a half, when the weather forecast started coming out, a lot of those people that Bridget had been in contact with suddenly were sending back, if they were even sending anything back at all, were not interested. And you can go back and look at some of the records. They were asking for invoices, they were ready to pay for them, and then those weather reports came out and it just started trickling away. So those really made up a lot of that difference. Those two together is 24,000. And then each of the other items, shirts, drinks, we did not have the cook-off, the front porch passes. A lot of those the previous year were sold during the event. So when you're faced with weather and weather delays and people are looking out there and they're like, okay, I can go sit front row and not pay anything, or I can go inside the fenced area and have to pay. Again, we believe that the festival was a success, even though we had those challenges with the weather. Placer AI placed the total visitor count for 25 at about 3,000 visitors, making a total of 3,300 visits. Many of those visitors were on Friday, the October 17th, which is not a surprise given the weather. If you look at the chart, the attendance stayed right where it was at. If you compare it to 24, the festival was 9,200 visitors for a total of 10,200 visits. But what happened when you look at those charts is Saturday's attendance was double what the attendance was on Friday. So if you take those kind of numbers, you add it in, we should have been at about 4,500 to 5,000 for this festival. Yes, that was down from 24's, but we knew this was a building year. We knew it was different. We did not have the name recognition of the Bluegrass and Chili Festival. We were starting something of our own. I will say, from talking to the talent and the entertainers that were here, they were very impressed with the city. They were very impressed with the festival. There's several of them that are already lining up saying, hey, we would like to come back. As far as impact on businesses, we know that it was not at the level of 24, but we still had several of the vendors that said, hey, it was great for us. You know, we made back our money to be here, plus added in. We had some of the merchants downtown that said, yeah, it was different, but we still did really good business those days. The impact on public services such as fire, police, street department, emergency management, the overall impact seemed to be minimal. Can't thank MUB and the Street and Parks Department enough for the great work they did in preparing the green space and providing electricity and having water set up. Pryor Fire and Police were great that day. They came out, they actively participated in events. And then, as I said earlier, emergency management was indispensable during the festival. If anybody ever wonders why it's necessary to have emergency management, especially for the festival, when the storms came in, Mayor was able to walk across the street, go into the room, get real-time updates, feed that back to the stage, feed that back to Houston and I, who were out there trying to coordinate things, keep everybody safe, and then spin the festival back up as soon as we could. You know, Bridget spent a lot of time with the downtown merchants, telling everybody, okay, here's what's going on. The acts are not going on right now during the storm, so everybody could adjust and keep themselves safe. The volunteer base, we had great volunteers for the festival. I think it was very important to move it from the date we did to this date. Our volunteers were not as worn out. They were not as stretched. Houston can attest to this. We were able to get some resources that we would not have otherwise had from Rocklahoma because we had it on this date. The fencing, we were able to bring out from them. That was a substantial savings, and I believe going forward there's probably some more synergies that we can get between the two entities. Impact on the residents and attracting outside visitors, I went through the count. But again, it was really a quality of life event and important to bring into Pryor. So while the festival did not recover approximately $57,829.91 of the total investment, 25 should really be looked at as a building year, further challenged by the severe weather that we had. Ultimately, the festival proved that Pryor can be successful in hosting a large-scale downtown event and attract high-quality entertainment. Investments in the community events, just like investments in streets and sidewalks, generate long-term value that extends beyond the immediate financial return. This festival represents an important step in building Pryor's downtown identity and community vitality. There are things that we've already started talking about with Bingham Productions and acts for 26. We've started talking about the layout and some changes that can occur, not closing down Graham Avenue, keeping it open and moving the festival and making it more concentrated around the green space where it does have a bigger festival feel and things aren't as spread out, that they are right there concentrated. It also gives the city more flexibility in managing those street closures and in managing the setup. It will let us, look at changing some of the timelines and maybe extending into a Sunday or, some long-term planning that I think that we really should still consider and do. But that's the report for 25. Houston, Bridget, Mayor.
I would love to add something to this that most probably don't know what's going on. So right now, I'm working with the Department of Commerce they want to call this next session the Year of Music. And so much like the film incentives were put out there a few years ago, now they want to focus towards music. And so one of the things that we're working on is we have a representative that's going to present a particular bill which will allow communities like Pryor, Miami, all across the state to be able to file for rebates. So in other words, if we meet certain thresholds for bringing for a downtown festival, which drives economic development, bringing people to town, spending money, municipal taxes, which is what the Department of Commerce is supposed to be doing, providing money to help get feedback or to get that back. So this is supposed to go, Archer is going to file the bill. We can get a senator to help co-author it. Then we have the floor leader, the assistant floor leader from the House, which has said that he can get it on the floor. And if we can get the floor leader in the Senate to get it out there, we hope that this will pass. We're asking for $5 million. It'll go into a pot, and then we'll be able to draw from that. And this, I will tell you, because I'm helping to work on this festival, Bluegrass and Barbecue, is an example of what we've done in the past, what we've done last year, an example of what can be done. And so we're using this when we go to the committee to say, hey, this is what's going on and this is how it affected Pryor. And other communities are doing the same thing. So we hope that if this does, the only thing is if it doesn't get an emergency on it, it won't be available this year, but it would be available next year. So there's opportunities for us possibly to get, and this goes up to $100,000. So there's a possibility to get a majority of that money back if those thresholds are met by the festival producers.
So Houston, is there a size limit on these events that they are going to be working with, or is it going to be even available to Rocklahoma? And
So Rocklahoma is a total different one. That there's a program out there. It's called specialty events that's out there already that exist. So there's a pool of money that, for instance, the Chili Bowl could pull from because it brings a national presence. What they're doing this time is we're going to try to change the language to incorporate a national presence in where Rocklahoma, because they are a national presence as well, and they represent all 50 states at Rocklahoma and Born and Raised, that we could use that mechanism for funding for Rocklahoma and Born and Raised. The other bill would be separate for the
it's not something
communities.
we have to compete with them with?
No,
Okay.
no, Rocklahoma and Born and Raised would go after that one, and then Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival could go after this one. So I think I think we're working on it hard. I think we have a real opportunity to getting that on the floor and getting it passed, and then we have an opportunity to go get money to help support these programs. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
Well, and kind of echoing off of what Houston said, I've been able to be a part of some of those conversations with the Department of Commerce core group and the film and music funds that they've put out there. Pryor is on their radar. Pryor has gotten a lot of invites to special events that are fairly intimate events in this industry. They're looking at us, other communities are looking at us, and they want to see how we do it. I think it's a great opportunity that we have to show them the growth that'll come doing this on our own. We can share our wins and our losses with them, but I think the one thing that Pryor gets to show is our resiliency. And even though we just went through this report where there wasn't a win financially, they're still looking at us and they still want to see us do it right. But this is a good opportunity for us, and I look forward to doing it again.
Just to piggyback, Houston, when that comes up, because my dealings with the legislature,
Yes, sir.
I've learned not to hold my breath.
Yes, sir.
It would be helpful if that bill does get presented, and it does come up for committee hearings, or it comes up for a full vote. If you know that ahead of time.
Yes, sir.
You're aware of that, if you could then send that information out to
Absolutely.
to council members, to us, to members of the Chamber of Commerce, because when those people in Oklahoma City sometimes are inundated then with emails and phone calls,
Yes, sir.
it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And so if you could monitor that and put some kind of list together and let us know.
Absolutely. And that was mentioned, and it was mentioned that and once it gets introduced and it gets into committee, that we will broadcast that everywhere.
Yeah,
Get
just
that
send out
support.
emails and, because, if they get inundated, it does make a difference.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bridget, do you have anything you want to add? Okay. Okay, so any other questions on the 2025 Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival? Okay, we will move on. Discussion and possible action regarding authorization to plan the 2026 Music Festival. So as we move into 2026, now's the time for us to start planning the next festival, the next date, getting the acts lined up. We've already had some meetings with Bingham Productions. If we're ready to move forward, we have the opportunity to lock in some, using the same budget, to lock in some very good talent and get them on the books. And we're definitely months ahead of where we were the first time. We're months ahead of where we were last year. But in order to do this, we need to get the EDTA on board with championing this, and then we'll start getting some things on the agenda to get funding unlocked, so.
Can you pick a weekend with good weather?
That's Sherry's job this year. She's new, so she gets that task.
I move that we move forward with 2026.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Fred seconded. If you would take the vote, please.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Swordall,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, the next item, possible executive session in compliance with 25 Oklahoma Statute 307, C11, for the purpose of the Pryor Economic Development Trust Authority as a public trust to confer on matters pertaining to economic development, including the possible transfer of property, financing, or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the jurisdiction of the authority, or public disclosure would interfere with the development of products or services.
So move.
Got a motion, need a second?
Second.
Jay, if you'd take the vote.
Anderson,
Yes.
Swordall,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be back.
Where we going?
Do you,
Can't take any.
do you want me to go in there?
is now 1:06, and we are returning from executive session and returning to regular session. So, let me get things in order here. Okay, so the next item is to discuss, possibly recommend council action regarding an offer received on the property commonly referred to as the old police department building. So each of you have a copy of a contract in front of you. It is an offer from Navarre's Properties LLC to purchase the old PD at 214 South Mill Street in Pryor, Oklahoma, 74361. And the offer price is $450,000. The closing would be on or before 3/13 of '26. It does have standard inspection timelines and response timelines. It calls for the seller, which would be the city of Pryor, to provide title insurance commitment and survey. And it also requires the city of Pryor to pay for those items. The only additional provision is that the city of Pryor to provide buyer with all required building permits at no cost to the buyer. And then we would be agreeing, or the city would be agreeing to paying the commission equal to 6%, which is fairly standard. So we also have an anticipated or estimated net to seller off of a $450,000 offer price. The net to the seller, which would be the city, would be $412,292. The amount of that commission is $27,000. And then the other fees are your standard closing and transaction fees. The buyer has already placed a earnest money with a closing company. And let's see, does anybody have any questions or thoughts on this offer on the police department? It has been listed or has been for sale for quite some time. And this is the first complete offer with a closing date that we have had. And this is for a local business that would be relocating and consolidating some of their locations into that facility. The facilities they have are very nice looking. They're members of the community and they wish to stay in this community. Dana Price with Caldwell Banker is here. If you have any questions of her as the realtor, she could certainly handle any of those, and I think it's a reasonable, my opinion is, I think it's a reasonable offer, and it keeps a local business here, and it shows growth, and with what they've done in the past, R&L Tires looks really nice on the corner, and they've expressed that they would continue that same look and feel when they move into that new location. Okay, no questions. I think that one thing that, Dana, we would say is probably let's put some, when we take this to city council, let's put some timelines on the permits so that it covers them and there's no, an assumption in 6 months or whatever that we, hey, we did this and we thought you were gonna do it immediately, and then they go down to get a permit and it's, oh, that was only for 30 days. We wanna put something in there to protect them with that. So if you're okay with that, okay. Any other comments?
Just, if I remember rightly, when we started this several years ago, looking for a buyer, I think the initial appraisal was for 500,000, was it not? And when we were looking at potential buyers, our expense to get that property ready was much more than this. And I don't know that we would be netting any more than what we are through this, is that right?
Correct.
And so I see it as finally doing something with the property, netting what we would have been netting before. and selling it to an entity that's gonna produce sales tax and is a known entity in Pryor.
Mayor, do we have a feel for sales tax generation from the current business that would move in there?
No, we'd have to go in and have Hannah pick that apart.
Okay, any other questions?
Looking for a motion?
Yes,
Yes,
I make the motion. that
We have a motion?
recommend.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
and I take it this is a motion and second to recommend to the city council
to recommend to city
to
council.
proceed and approve of this contract.
Yes, sir. And we will have that on the next agenda. So we have a motion and a second. Jay, if you'll do the vote.
Sorrell,
Yes,
Berger,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes. Trustee updates. So we do have a founding member of the trust that this is their last meeting. Scott is rolling off. And, a reminder that we are looking for interested parties for his seat. The EDTA does have, the trust indenture does include a mandatory requirement that you can only serve 2 consecutive terms, and then you would step away, and if a seat became available, you are eligible to come back in, but there is a mandatory step away for what amounts to a year period. So I thank Scott for all of his work and effort, and looking back at the past minutes, I think you're still gonna have to come to these meetings because you're the one that does the prayer and the salute. So,
I'll do that.
we thank you for your time and everything.
Thank you, Scott.
Any unforeseen business? Having none, we are adjourned.
All right.
Thank you. Jay, don't forget to turn off these new wonderful microphones.